Hello. Welcome once again to another edition of Quoth the Raven, Lewis Bright Raven. I'm your host, Lewis Bright Raven. And with me on this wonderful Tuesday evening, co-host, the Great Pumpkin, Chris Hall.
The Great Pumpkin.
So, I don't know.
That needed more.
I never really believed in you, but I guess Linus did.
That needed more like oomph and more like, Vanitas, didn't it? Like the great pumpkin.
Yeah, what you really need is Linus. Anyway, it's Tuesday. I mean, it's crowdfunding night. Got some cool stuff over here that I got for unboxing. We've got some reviews and a crowdfunding campaign to discuss. Which one do you want to start with first, Chris?
You want to get the reviews out of the way?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. We'll do the reviews and then we'll do the crowdfunding plus review of the crowdfunder. How's that?
Okay, sounds good.
Alrighty then. Let's go ahead and do that then. Let's start with the Edward Gloom Mysteries number 2 from Spellbound Comics. These are all from Spellbound Comics. These were all crowdfunded titles written by JM DeMatteis for the DeMultiverse. We're not going to cover all the books this week, but we're covering 3 tonight. Writer JM DeMatteis, artist Vasilis Gogzilis. I wonder if that's his real name. It's a heck of a name. Lettering by Ed Dukeshire, editor David Baldy, genre supernatural mystery, released May 2025. Set in Amsterdam City in the late 1800s, early 1900s. Edward is this genius Frankenstein ghost character who investigates the otherworldly and the mundane. It's a very Vertigo-ish type series where the character and his crew are very much the monsters in appearance, but the real monsters are the humans they encounter, and Edward has to protect the innocent from harm on both sides of the fence. I had a hard time with this one. I couldn't find my copies of issues 1 for the Multiverse, so it's been over a year between the 2 issues, so it's been a while since I've read these. I like the concept, but Godzilla's art style just doesn't appeal to me at all. I don't know. The story itself is fine. I think the DeMatteis script is very good, but I'm just not feeling the art on this one. And I hate to say it because it's not that the art is bad. It just feels inconsistent, I guess, unfinished in spots. He has some absolutely beautiful pages, and then there's some stuff like, am I looking at breakdowns?
Right.
I wasn't sure. And I guess I just wish that the art was more consistent. Chris?
So I did not care for this one at all. I liked the concept of it like you did. But I just didn't like the execution. I didn't care for the art either. Mm-hmm. I thought the art, like some of it was really beautiful and then some of it was just downright ugly,
Uh-huh.
And again, I don't know what it is with a lot of indie publishers, like a lot of indie writers, I should say. They love to just type out paragraph after paragraph after paragraph of dialogue.
Oh, he's not an indie writer. Do you know who JM DeMatteis is?
Yeah, I do, but this is an indie book, so however that works out, just paragraphs of dialogue, and I just decided just today that I am a shallow comic book reader. I want my comic books shallow and snappy. Like I don't want to have to wade through paragraphs of dialogue.
I don't know. I guess there's quite a bit of dialogue in this one. Yeah, there is quite a bit. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the artwork real quick.
And it was really pretentious too. I mean, that's just
some of the characters are supposed to be pretentious. I mean, but yeah, there is a lot of, you can see there's quite a bit of dialogue and captioning and stuff going on here.
I'm of the thought that the art should do the heavy carrying of the story, and the dialogue should just be there to as the ice. Yeah, the icing. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, like I said, those were kind of sort of pages. Now, I happen to think this one was really well executed. This page, it's very Gary Gianni-ish.
That was one of the better pages.
Yeah, and I like.
But
that.
I don't like those huge dialogue boxes. That's just me.
No, that's fine.
I don't like, and especially for me, I don't know why. I know it was a digital copy, but the writing seemed small. The lettering seemed small to me.
Yeah. Not so much on. I mean, there's the lettering seems small here.
Yeah, it does. It just, to me, I guess it just. Well, I guess that's not too bad, but some of it just seemed really small. I don't know. Like my eyes were crossing trying to read it. Maybe I need new glasses.
One thing I thought was really cool in all these books is they do have an advertisement for the Kubert School in here.
Yes, they do. Very cool.
Yeah, so I thought that was cool. So anyway, we both like the concept. We both just wish the art was a little bit better, basically. I think. As far as the dialogue, I think part of it is because you had to scramble to read it, and it's a lot to read. Whereas if you had time to really relax and sit down with it, maybe you would have enjoyed it more. Who knows? But
I would probably agree with that assessment.
Okay. So anyway, I gave it a 3, and Chris gave it a 2.5. I think it's a little bit low. I think he'd probably give it a 3 if he'd had time to really sit down and read. But he just didn't have time today like he'd planned. So that's, the way it is. Our next book is Layla in the Lands of After. Same writer, JM DeMatteis, artist Shan McManus, colorist Arthur Hesley, with lettering by Taylor Esposito, covers by McManus and Halsey, shown here. I guess it's Hesley. I don't know if it's Hesley or Halsey. I'll check in the book in a minute. It's shown anyway, the cover here. It's Hesley. It's on the cover. There it is. And then there was a Marguerite Savage variant as well, which I didn't see a sample of. The editor, again, David Baldy. Genre fantasy adventure, released May 2025. What is it about? Layla has died and gone into the lands of the hereafter, where she has been separated from her guide and has met the spirits of her grandparents, but she's not meant to be dead. Now she has to find her way back to the living with the help, and I put question mark on that, of those she's lost in the past. Again, I wish I could have found where I put my copies of number 1 of the Multiverse. This issue was not clearly defined as to what had happened in the previous issues of some of the other books in the series or in the Multiverse. That having been said, I could follow the story well enough that I didn't need the first issue. And I think that speaks to type and age of the writer. After all, DeMatteis did write comics in the 70s and 80s, so he does understand how to write a comic under the assumption that anyone can discover it in media res. So you do try to make every story per issue cohesive and coherent enough to follow without prior knowledge. I do wish that more writers would do that today.
Right.
McManus's art is fun. There's a lot of Alice in Wonderland, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, Time Bandits sensibilities to this book. It has a kind of a British feel to it, very dry kind of humor, which is neat to see from a guy from Brooklyn, because that's not typically the kind of style of writing you expect from a person from Brooklyn.
Right, exactly.
Not that I wasn't aware of his ability to write in this fashion. After all, this is the guy who wrote Moonshadow and other works, but it was just, it's been a while since I've seen him do something in this vein in the mainstream. Now, there were some things I wasn't as keen on, like the cover here is deliberately murky and blurred to reflect the effects of being in deep water, but it kind of mooted the monster or monsters in the background and didn't quite work for me. Overall, the story is very well done. and would be a very good book for young teens or classic Vertigo fans, in my opinion. Chris, you lost track of time. Review on the fly.
Oh, that seems to be happening more and more nowadays. Um, I actually really like this cover. I thought it was very well done. And it actually, that's what made me want to read the book.
Mhm.
I enjoyed the art in this one a lot more, and I thought the dialogue was appropriate. Like it wasn't too wordy for me.
Mhm.
And the art in the book was great. I enjoyed the story, and maybe I misunderstood, but I thought Layla was in a coma, not dead.
Um, you could be right. I that's why I wish I had number one to remember whether she was in a coma or if she was actually dead and her body, her spirit had gone or what, you know. But you could be correct.
Okay.
I'm not going to say you're wrong because I just don't remember, and it was like it could be either or. But I was just
Gotcha.
thinking, for some reason I was thinking she was dead, but it could be either or. Anyway, speaking of that cover, let's go ahead and take a quick look at it. I don't know if you guys can see it so much on this one. It when you got to really look up close to see the blurriness.
Yeah, the monster has a blur effect has a Photoshop blur effect.
Yeah, and I'm just not quite keen on it. I mean, it looks, the cover itself looks good. I just wish I had seen a little more clarity of it, I guess. And on the actual printed book, if you see it from a like an angle flat like this, I don't know if you guys can see the sheen of the white on
Right.
her costume. It
Yep.
actually like lights up.
And
It's like it's almost like it's not quite like a glow in the dark, but it's like there's certainly almost like you can see the layers of
it's
the
almost luminescent.
yeah. So I wasn't.
And
It's okay.
I have to say that water caustics are incredibly hard to draw well, and I
Mhm.
think they're really well done on that cover.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's fair. And here's some of the interior art. Whoops! I got the wrong banner on here somehow. Okay. Thank you.
I've done that.
There we go.
Yeah, I've had to be like, oh shoot, click, 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 and type a banner on the fly.
No, I had it written. It just was got
right. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, it's great art. Like I said, it's not too heavy on the dialogue balloons. Yeah, I like the relationship between Layla and her grandfather. I thought that was really well done. So it almost had like a Gollum character there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah. So I enjoy it for what it is. I'm not disappointed in it by any means. You were happy with it as well, so
I was. Yeah.
I gave it a 4. You gave it a 3.5. For some reason, you did you steal my cloak of grumpiness this week?
You may have blessed some of the shirts you sent me with your spell of grumpiness.
Okay, that's what it is. Okay. Finally, from the DeMultiverse is wisdom number 2. Again, JM DeMatteis writing, artist Tom Mandrake, colorist Justin Prokovic.
I believe it's pronounced Prokovic.
Prokovic? Okay, Prokovic, yes. All right. Letterer Taylor Esposito, covers by Mandrake and Prokovic, shown, and editors a Patrick Zerker variant, editor by David Baldy. Supernatural Western, released May 2025. Now, I'm going to go a little bit on a rant on this one, but let's start with it. What's it about? Gabriel Wisdom is a vengeful spirit of a man whose family was murdered as he was left for dead by those same murderers in the home they were meant to burn them all to ash. A black woman named Becca rescues him and nurses him back to health, but something else involved itself in reviving the life of this man, something supernatural. Now he is something other than human, and Becca is his companion as they seek vengeance upon those responsible for the deaths of his wife and daughter, and to serve justice upon those who would do wrong. As with the other number one issues that I got a couple of years back, I don't remember the first issue storyline. Here, they do give you a very strong recap in the first page or two, then move the story forward. So if you don't have your copies of number one, or you simply never saw it, I don't think you would be lost. I think he does a good job of setting the stage. The concept draws from Jonah Hex, Lone Ranger, and the Spectre, so it's not like we haven't seen this before. But DeMatteis and Mandrake make the world construct feel like a comfortable old shirt, in my opinion. Obviously, we've seen the vengeful Left for Dead person whose family's been murdered before. What makes him interesting is trying to figure out if he's human or possessed by demons or dark angels or what, and the same for Becca. And it's never quite, is it or isn't it? Whoops, something's missing here. What's going on here? Okay. I do think it's a shame that this book takes so long to come out, as well as all the books, because they have to do projects and assignments for a living between issues because retailers won't order enough to warrant them to be out on a regular schedule. That isn't true. Well, let me spell this out, plain and simple. This book should be selling 20 to 30K an issue. The backing for the campaign on this series, for all of the books, 829 backers between two different campaigns, Indiegogo and Kickstarter combined. That would mean every backer would have had to order 25 copies to reach 20,000 sales. That's not good.
No, not at all. Especially for someone like DeMatteis.
Yeah. Well, crap. There's only, 1,500 comic shops? That would mean they'd have to order 15 copies a store on average. Now, obviously, not every shop can sell 15 copies of this. Our good friend Bob up in Alpena might be able to sell 1 to 3 copies if he carried it. But he's in a rural area and there's not a huge population base. Then you take someone like Dennis Barger Jr. or Cliff Biggers or the like, and they should be able to sell 20 to 30 copies based on where they're located, population base. There's something there for an audience to pick this up, in my opinion. I don't know. That's why I get mad about the crowdfunding with all the people that are successful veterans, because these books should be on the shelves. We shouldn't have to crowdfund them. Right. And then the fans and retailers claim there's nothing to read when they go to the store. So yeah, I'm a little bit, that's my usual weekly rant, I guess, right? So, that's why we do the obscure titles that we do on this channel, to prove to you all that there is more to comics than just mainstream superhero schlock and licensed IP brands. I apologize, but this is the kind of comic I enjoy, as well as Earn the Prestige Wraith of God, which is a similar concept. And it frustrates me that good comics like these get ignored while retailers waste thousands of dollars a month on bullshit gimmick covers. Anyway, great book. Chris, you didn't think so. Go ahead.
Again, this is just me and my personal taste. I'm sure this is probably a fantastic book. The art was good. I liked the art. That's pretty much what I went on because, again, slogging through tons of dialogue. Just, I can't do it. I cannot do it. And if you show the book, they'll see what I'm talking about. Right. There is just, yeah. So I kind of got the gist of what was going on with the story, but I just couldn't make it through it.
Well, I mean, it's not as bad as the other one.
There's some heavy dialogue pages in that book.
First off, great cover.
Oh yeah, fantastic cover.
And for those of you, he's holding up the skull there. That's like a Yorick skull that talks to him, which is awesome. I think I mean, yes, there's a little bit of this is kind of like the recap. There's like two little things in each one, and yes, there's quite a bit of dialogue, but you're basically covering a whole issue in one page backstory.
Right.
So I don't mind that. The next 2 pages, not so much dialogue like you were.
Right. There's some of the pages were, were okay.
There's a lot on this one. But I don't know. I think it seems okay,
Okay, well, like you said before, if I had had time to actually read this the way it should have been read, it would have been better. So,
yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot of cool stuff here. But but then again, you get a page like this, and then you're like, wow, that's a lot of dialogue.
Yeah. And like, again, some people may like that, but in my comics, I don't like having to read that much. I want to, I want the dialogue to move faster. So,
right. I guess for me, I like extra context to the dialogue, to the story and everything, as long as it's pertaining to the story.
Right.
There's a lot of writers today who write dialogue that doesn't really express anything to the plot, whereas a lot of this stuff does pertain to the plot of the story. So there's the kind of the thing. But yes, I understand what you're saying. Maybe an editor could like whittle down some of it,
or the letterer could break it up, maybe somehow. Just make it more better little chunks, something like that.
Well, when you got as much as dialogue as some of this, what's on that page, I mean, there's a lot of information. So I understand where you're coming from.
And it just boils down to personal taste.
Sure. And like I said, you put on my personal cloak of doom to grumble.
Grumble, 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 grumble.
I gave it a 4.5.
Okay. Wow.
And Chris only gave it a 2. I think if he actually takes a chance to take the time to sit down and really read it, he'll probably get to a 3.5.
Okay. I'm gonna give it another chance.
I mean, that's just my opinion. I could be wrong. I mean, it's hard because, like you say, some people like different types of writing and stuff. So, it's hard to gauge whether or not you want story with the art, or do you want the art to tell the story?
Right. And I have always been more art driven with comics than dialogue and writing.
Whereas I was a writer who became an artist, so I'm more balanced, I guess, for lack of or maybe I favor writing. I don't know, but either way,
I think you favor writing a little bit.
Huh?
I think you favor writing a little bit.
You do? Okay. Well, maybe I do. I know when I edit, I try to make sure there is say as much as you can, the least amount of words possible.
Exactly. Yep.
That's basically what but it's like find the right word, not the amount of word. But anyway,
exactly.
But anyway, those are our 3 reviews for the week on crowdfunding. We do have one more that we're going to review, but we have to do a little bit of a share of the Kickstarter first. We got 4 days to go. Is Vampire Ninja Ono, Curse of the Hawk graphic novel. Ono arrives in Los Angeles hunting for a werewolf hitman that is a key to her past and covers a conspiracy by vampires. Of course, there's always vampires everywhere.
Of course.
They are past their $1,500 goal. They've got 2,651, 79 backers with 4 days left. We were given a little bit of a preview. We were given the first series to read, and also this series is a preview from Antarctic Press. So we're going to go ahead and show a little bit of that. But do you want to show that first, or you want to go through the crowdfunder first?
We could show some of the art, sure.
You want to talk about the review first? Okay.
Oh, I mean, however you want to do it.
Well, no, it's fine. I can figure out what I'm doing here. All right. Vampire Ninja Ono Volume 1, which came out in 2021. Publisher Antarctic Press. Creator Ben Dunn with writing by David Furr. Artist is Matthew Weldon for the first volume. Colors by Nick Webb. Supernatural action adventure. This is the cover. It's expanded to do the front and back cover because it's a gatefold cover. So I just took the whole cover image out, and without the logo, it showed it. Enter the dark and mysterious world of Vampire Ninja Ono. During Japan's period of the Warring States, there was chaos and death. Clans would employ the use of ninja as spies and assassins. One of them was the one known only as Ono. Whenever I see Ono, I keep on thinking Mighty Orbots. Anyway, however, during this period, foreign invaders took advantage of the upheaval, and on ships from Europe, vampires came to feed on the unsuspecting Japanese, which I find a little bit odd because there's always been Japanese vampires too. But anyway, this incursion began a war where the creatures of darkness from the Far East would battle creatures of the West, with Ono caught in the middle. Now hunting monsters from both sides of the ocean, protecting a young American who has a mysterious secret of his own. Ono stays off vampires, demons, and other threats, but is it all for naught? Read the comic to find out. What I thought is this book needed an editor. There were pages with missing words and dialogue here and there, and there's at least 2 examples, and I don't feel like trying to find them again in the PDFs, but they're there. The pacing of the story was a little rough. I didn't care for the lettering. The art by Weldon is okay. It feels rushed. I've seen much better art from him elsewhere. There's far too many pages where there is no real defined background to give us a sense of where the story is taking place. This adversely affects the pacing of the story, as you sometimes can't tell what the environment is well enough. And I found myself asking questions of who's who and what's what, where's what's going on multiple times. It's not that the action is badly placed or that the story is going too quickly or too slowly, so much as it's just I found myself asking how and where the action is taking place and where characters are physically entering and leaving the stage of the story, shall we say. First, I think they're in one club, then another club, then it's a fancier establishment. Is it like a hotel with an open lounge? No, wait, am I in a warehouse with chains hanging down? It just wasn't clear enough for me. Now, when I was reading this, I was apparently very tired because I actually passed out and fell asleep for an hour and a half. So maybe there was brain fog involved and I just wasn't getting it. Did you have that problem too?
No, I really enjoyed this one.
So it was me.
It could have been.
You didn't see the problem with backgrounds or lack thereof?
I don't have a problem with that per se. It's funny you mentioned that because David and I covered that today on other stuff. The no backgrounds and the speed lines and all that stuff. So,
yeah, I don't know. I just kind of,
Yeah, some people like it, some people don't.
Okay. Second issue, which is one that we're going to show a preview of and is currently being campaigned for Kickstarter, which we'll get back to in a minute. It's a different artist. I'm really not a fan of the art change, but I can totally understand why it was done because I can't see Weldon doing this series on the regular. The new artist is 4B Comic or Comic. It's spelled both ways in the campaign, and it isn't actually listed in the preview. So let's take a look at their stuff. Let me make sure I get the right one to present to you guys. This is their work. We're going to look at some of it. Yeah, okay, you know, this is Los Angeles. All right. Just looks like a generic cityscape, really, in the background of me, but that's okay. You tell me it's Los Angeles, it's Los Angeles, right?
Right.
I wish that there was more building color, something to give it more differential than it seems to have.
As a colorist who hates doing backgrounds, I'm okay with this. I understand.
Yeah, but there's not enough detail in the background. You got to give it something.
Like maybe some texture on there might have been okay. You know, just a little texture. Yeah, maybe something. Because it almost looks like a 3D effect against the 2D foreground.
Yeah. Again, the art's okay. The lettering, I don't like it. Never have a crossbar eye like that unless you're using the word eye.
Right.
As in, yeah. You know, I was definitely I. Okay, that's fine. But when you have it, that should be a regular, not a capitalized or crossbarred I. Again, here's the is you know, the crossbar I. Like, I just don't care for that. I wish I understood their swords.
It's very much a manga thing.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. Yeah, but you know.
Yeah, the backgrounds look like someone took like a Google SketchUp, and colored it.
Yeah, I'm not happy with that, but you know,
but I like the character work very much.
Yeah, it's okay, you know. This is weird. I mean, you there should be some sound effects for slicing and kicking and something, you know, when they're getting hit, you know.
Right.
Finally, she gets an out of her.
Well, I mean, I hate to say it, but like you mentioned, the crossbar on the eye is a very distinct sign that I've come to learn that I didn't know before of like an amateur letterer, someone who's just starting out who doesn't necessarily know the rules.
Right. You know, again, it's not bad, I guess. Nothing like following several, you know, dozen stories. Smack, wake up on, just get up, walk away. Right?
Well, he's a vampire, so
yeah. But and then there's your werewolf,
which I love that shot.
Yeah,
like, I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, well, the wolf looks good, but it's like, damn, it's big compared to the rest of the characters. You know?
Right. And I like that this series does, like, they treat their vampires more traditional, because I don't know if you've ever seen an Asian vampire movie, but they're crazy. Like, their heads they look like Oni, and their heads come off and spin around. They're just, and they chase you. Yeah, it's crazy, crazy stuff.
That's what I'm saying. That sort of should be in this, because she's from Japan, she's Japanese, and they got the Japanese Asian Yakuza vampires and American vampires. It should be a combination of the two, and we're not seeing it. And I'm like, well, come on, this is
it would have been visually a lot more interesting, that's for sure.
yeah, so there's that, but it is what it is. I'm not, some of it's okay, and then of course this vampire is all tore up, his legs over here, he's half eaten supposedly, whatever, and I'm just like, huh? And of course now the cops show up,
Right.
and that was kind of a weird. If it's that bright, it should be that bright in the next panel, shouldn't it?
Yes, you would think.
So I was just like, I don't know. I wasn't.
See, for me, I'm not sure why. Like the art was passable,
Yeah.
but the story really interested me in this one. So
Yeah,
that's what got
yeah.
me through.
Yeah. The story is there's enough action going on. I think. Now you were having a problem with hair color, you said.
Yeah, that character on the, I can't think of his name, but the male, not with the glasses, like between issues and stuff, and I think even within this issue, it kind of changes color. It goes from like a yellow, like a dark yellow, to this color to like. Did you notice that, or is it just me?
Actually, I think you got them confused with multiple characters that look almost identical, and they just have different hair colors.
Well, no, they're talking about what happened to this guy in the first issue.
Yeah. I know, that's what I'm trying to say. It's like I understand what you're talking about, where he gets different hair color. Like this is a little bit different hair color.
Yeah, and that's the same guy, right?
No.
Oh.
It's supposed to be, but it's not. That's what's so confusing about it. But yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Oh, I thought that was the same character. Okay.
Yeah.
Because like now here it's reddish and yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's supposed to be the same guy. But it's like he has different appearances, not just in the hair, but other things going on. I noticed. So it was like, yeah, that was a little bit confusing. I wish they'd done him a little more consistently as well.
Well,
Again,
going by the, oh, sorry, go ahead.
But like you say, the hair color just gets darker and darker and darker.
Right. But going by the name of the art or the artist, whatever it said, it sounds like one of those like Taiwanese or like Indian based art companies, art studios that have like 5 or 6 people working there and they all work on the art. So yeah. I'm wondering if it just didn't have multiple artists on the same issue.
Could have been. Yeah. Overall, it's not too bad. Here he's got orange hair again.
Yeah.
It's like, just get it consistent is all we're asking more than anything else. But again, now he's got bright orange hair again.
And I what kind of bugged me was like, I don't know why all the characters have glows around them, but I didn't understand that one.
Right. That's not logical.
Yeah, or standard. Yeah.
But there's a lot of that going on in this book that we're like, huh? Yeah. But yeah, as far as the story goes, I mean, you can't tell me that there's not a huge amount of dialogue in this thing. Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah, there is, but for some reason, it just didn't bother me as much. I'm not sure why. Maybe it was, maybe the format is different, or it's just I was more interested in the story. Something. It just didn't.
Or the art was so simplistic that it's like, yeah, I can read this.
Right, that could be too. Yeah.
Comparative to the other stuff, which is a lot more busy, and you're trying to see what's going on in the art. So maybe that was too.
Right.
But, okay. Well, anywho.
Or it could just be that I rage when I see rectangle dialogue boxes. Like, You don't want rectangle dialogue boxes. You wouldn't like me when you have rectangle dialogue boxes. The Great Pumpkin Smash.
Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh, so anyway, yeah, that was the second one. Let's show a little bit of the first one real quick, so you guys can see what the difference is in the style. Again, this is the first full cover to the first one, which is absolutely gorgeous looking.
Yes, it is.
Whoops, where'd it go? There it is. Come on. There we go. I'm not as big a fan of this art. Like I said, Weldon's done a lot better work.
Yeah, this was, I mean, it was passable.
Yeah. The art is just, I don't know.
Like some of the faces are missing noses in some panels, and like that guy's got his like crosses for eyes, which I get it, but
Yeah.
it's kind of weird.
The X is for eyes for meaning they're dead, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean, just, I don't know, some of the coloring that was done for this and was a little bit over rendered, I thought, for lighting.
Yep.
And it made the artwork look weird to me.
Well, yeah, like the black patch on her nose, which is meant to signify that there's a strong light source coming from each side.
Mm-hmm.
And the colorist didn't get that.
Right. But yeah, it's interesting. And like I said, now they went from the one crowd, now they're in another one, and this is
they're upstairs.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay.
Now, when I first read this, I thought for sure it was going to do the whole Blade thing. Like she was drawing them into a club. Everybody was going to be vampires and they're going to be like, and chow down.
Mm-hmm.
But they did not do that. So I was very happy with that.
Well, all they did was instead they gave him the tea, and now it's like, now we're going to take you to the vampires to get fed on.
Right.
But I mean, it's still kind of the same thing in a way. But I mean, I don't know.
Some of the art's decent. It varies from page to page in quality.
Yeah. Yeah, it's quite a thing there. And yet, okay, hold the arm out and let's see a blade, and normally that blade would just go like right through your arm, but we're just gonna just get enough to bleed there and
right. You probably just tapped it. Just a tap.
Yeah, and yet here you go, slice and dice everywhere else, right through the arms. That's a little bit funny, but I don't know. Anyway, it is what it is. Which art style do you like better?
I'm leaning towards the second issue.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I can understand that. So
though I do appreciate the humor in the first issue where the big Oni guy gets his head chopped off and then it's still talking and he picks it up and he's carrying it around still talking. And the boss is like, I'll put your head on, but you're gonna pay for it.
Right. Yeah, you like, so anyway, I think the writing is better in the second one. The backgrounds are still a little iffy, but they're better because at least they're there, even if they're just SketchUp. You say.
Right, yeah. I mean, that's what they look like to me, is Google SketchUp.
Yeah, I just wasn't sold on this one as much as you. Your reaction, of course, was better to the second one. You liked the better storytelling, in your opinion.
Yeah, absolutely.
You like it a lot better than the other Antarctic Presses books we've reviewed in the past.
This is one of the better ones that I have read. Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Right.
So far.
Yeah. Like you say, the one character's hair kept changing color without explanation. And yeah, and like I said, I thought that was two different characters who looked too similar to have different hair colors, but it was getting too confusing. It could have been the same guy. It was just.
I think it was different artists doing the same character in that book. That's
Okay.
what I think.
Yeah, it could be. So anyway, you give it a 4. I'll give it a 3 for both combined. And whoops, this thing just keeps going that way. All right. But let's go ahead and get to that. So you guys, if you like what you saw for that more manga-ish looking Vampire Ninja Ono.
From the darkness, she arrives with ninja stealth. Nothing survives. Her shining blade thirsts for blood. Her desire to drink like a flood. Her enemies must beware. Fight her if you dare.
Keep going.
How could you not? You know.
That's the whole thing, man. So in other words, you want a soundtrack with this book.
Right, like that's great music. I think this one's worth a back. So
Okay.
if you like this kind of thing, and I think the start, like vampires, I think this is right up your alley.
Okay. Yeah. And okay, if you
Ben is always reasonable with his, he's always great with his
right.
his backer,
you're gonna get like a 50 to 60 page PDF for $10. The soft cover plus a PDF is $20. Signed soft cover is $25. Hardcover is $30. And you get a different cover, which is a better cover, in my opinion. But this one isn't too bad looking. Let's see if we can see if we got here's the regular cover.
Yeah, that's decent. I like it.
Yeah. Very, very that's Grinius who did that. And then this is 4B Comic. So, I don't know. It's interesting. You get a sketch by Ben in the book for 40 or 50, depending if you get the soft or hardcover.
I have to say it's hard to outdo Antarctic Press for what you get for the price. So
Yeah.
it's really hard to beat them.
Yeah. So it's good. Yeah. So because there's Japanese demons Oni, and there's vampires and werewolves, and they're all trying to get Alex. Why do they want him?
Well, we're going to have to tell Ben that we want flying vampire heads.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's okay. But yeah, I don't think I'm going to get it, but like you say, it's not like it's a bad project. I mean, it's worth recommending. So,
Yeah, I mean, if it's not your taste, it's not your taste.
Yeah. But those are our crowdfunding discussions for tonight, except for one final thing. Got a nice little package in the mail here. Let's see what craziness we got.
Drum roll, please.
We have Metal Hurlant.
Ooh.
Now this is something. Well, I'll put this down aside. The actual book is in here. Now this is a big boy.
Look at that! Look at that beast.
This is, I don't know, about 270 pages or so.
And just chocked full.
Yeah. Good thick book here.
Like that's metal. Oh, I should say that is
metal.
Old dreams, young visions. Now there is a lot of reprint in this content, which is fine, because folks should see some of the classic stuff in here. But let's just take a quick look at some of the early stuff here.
Yeah, it's just gorgeous art, great stories.
But let's see what table of contents is. We got Philip Joulet. We got Jerry Frizen, Frederick Peters, Mobius, Fabrice Geiger, James Stokoe, another Mobius story. Just a whole lot of interesting.
Okay, Oliver, that's enough, buddy. Oliver, no. He's talking to the dogs across the street.
Some Cosm here. Peter Sensberg, so quite a few people in here that are worth your time. Let's just take a quick look here. We got some James Stokoe here.
Go ahead. I covered it.
You covered what?
No. No, they were barking at the dog, son.
There's somebody at the door.
Okay, I'm going to get out for a second, okay? Kick me out there.
Okay. Yeah. He had some visitors unexpected. And this is kind of late, 9 p.m. to have someone visiting. No wonder his dogs are having a fit. But hopefully everything is all right. There's nothing major going on. This, again, is art by James Stokoe. Let's see. This is Masha Moreau art. Very European animation cell type look. Just really cool stuff. I'm looking forward to reading all of this. Now, what is this other piece here that we got in here? This is a little small thing. This is actually a fold-out poster that has the story Major Fatal on it. You get to read Major Fatal, which is all story and art by Mobius. And it's like you get the first page here, you flip it around, and then you get the whole story like that.
Yeah, this is incredibly cool.
And it just keeps getting bigger and bigger until you get the whole cool poster. Is it upside down or straight up?
Nope, it's perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, this is just so freaking cool.
And then the comic book or comic story is on the other side of it, like this. And you get to see all the little pages.
Yeah, and it's Mobius too. I mean, how can you can't go wrong with Mobius.
Right. So, very cool. Very, very much worth your time. Now, if I could just get this thing back together.
They never go back together the way they came apart.
Yes. So there's that. So those are really cool addition to it as well.
So that's
metal.
Now, this was not actually in the bag. I bought this separately. This is the American Heavy Metal that just came out.
And this is heavy metal.
Oh, you do that again.
Heavy metal.
Oh Lord. Now this, it looks like you're getting about the same size book here, right? But then you go and you compare them side by side, and you can see how much thinner it looks. And it's like, yeah, what happened here? I'm just a little bit confused.
Right. I don't know if it was printing costs, because if you went on the Kickstarter, they made about equal amounts, I believe.
Mhm. Yeah. And it's like, I don't know. And I mean, and not that this one has anything to sneeze at. I mean, this is, a good product too. Lots of good stuff in it. It's just like, this is much heavier cardstock paper and heavier thing, where this is just more like a regular like magazine you get off the shelves at the supermarket.
High gloss magazine stock.
Yeah. And it's fine. It looks good. I enjoyed this, and we're going to do a side-by-side comparison of both in the future. But, it's just interesting to see how much different this was. And hello.
Oh, there's midnight. There's the Midnight Monster.
Yes, hello, baby. Yes. And you had someone walking behind you.
Yes. Yes, I did.
Oh, come here, little one. You want to get up here? Okay. He wants to say hello to everybody. Hello. I'm here. So, that was worth getting this week. Or actually, I got it last week, but we only do our reveals on Tuesdays. So, did you
Right.
Is that like relatives visiting again, or?
Yes.
Oh, okay. It was unexpected.
It was unexpected, yes.
All right. Yeah. But now that Oliver knows who it is, he's calmed down.
Yep, he's all good. He's just gonna go grumble in the corner.
Oh, okay. He was upset.
Oliver is my what's the Winnie the Pooh character? The donkey?
Eeyore.
Yeah, Oliver is my Eeyore.
Wow. So anyway, that's all for tonight. Thursday we got a lot coming to show.
I understand.
It's not going to show you, of course. Here we go. These are just some of the books we're going to be reviewing. We got Cobalt Crisis, a Countdown to Cobalt Crisis, Bronze Star, Down With Us. We'll have Zootopia and Silverhawks. We'll have, assuming that everybody gets their books in this week, you never know what diamond is being screwed up. There'll be Absolute Martian Manhunter, Minor Arcana, and then we'll do some more books that have been waiting to get done, Fatal and Core and others. So that's Thursday. And then Friday, we'll be doing H.P. Lovecraft's From Darkness is our movie of the week.
No.
Very, very cool. Love me some Lovecraft.
Is there anything going on for you this weekend? Who's your guest on your Owen Jones podcast?
Well, we had this week will be Will Conrad.
Okay.
And next week will be Marco Santucci and Maria Laura Sanapo, who is also ironically, an instructor at Kubert School that we mentioned was in the ads in some of these books.
So Will's coming back to do this week, you said?
Not Will Conrad, Cliff Richards. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Yes, we have Cliff Richards.
Okay.
And David will be in Japan with his wife. So these will be pre-recorded, but I will make sure that the link is available.
Okay. Alrighty. My cat wants his ears scratched. Yeah. Okay. You done now? No.
No, he's not.
All right.
You're done when I say you're done.
Yep. All right. So anyway, again, Friday is Whisper of Darkness, and then Saturday we'll see Chris on his other channel, which we'll talk more later. And I don't know if I'll be doing crowdfunding or not crowdfunding, but it is the weekend. So I'm supposed to be doing my
Live draw?
my live draw and sale this weekend.
Ah, yes.
So that's for Saturday as well. So there you go, folks. Alrighty. So that being said, if you have questions, comments, contact me at Facebook at Lewis.BrightRaven, on the Muskrat Channel X at LewisBrightRave2, DeviantArt.com/BrightRaven to see some of my artwork. I'm watching both Raven Lewis Bright Raven exclusively on YouTube. If you want to email me, inquire about sketches or anything like that, QuothRavenLBR72@gmail.com. I'll get back to you. Try LewisBrightRaven@yahoo.com. And if you want to send samples of artwork for review by David Campiti and Chris, you go to ghthrowingstones@gmail.com, or is it David@glasshouse.com?
Yes, David@glasshouse.com. Yeah.
Okay. Now, it might be a couple of weeks before they get back into doing live portfolio reviews, since Dave's on vacation, but they will get to your stuff.
Absolutely.
And trust me, if for some reason they don't do your review on live, it's because you don't want them to. I hate saying that, but Dave's been playing it with kid gloves very much.
Yes, David Campiti light, as I like to call it.
But so if he's not reviewing you on the show, it's not good for you. That's the best way I can put it.
Yeah,
So
you
anyway,
need to work on your art more.
Yeah. So, yeah. No. Okay. What do you want? He can't make up his mind. He wants to lay down or get it on my chest. But you never know with him. Anyway,
Right.
That's all for now. We'll see you next time. Quoth the Raven. Nevermore.
Nevermore.